This was the famous actress who kissed Elvis but then turned Hollywood away on Oscar Eve. She's about to walk the red carpet again, but where has she been for all these years? It said that I was going to work with a young man called Elvis Presley. I didn't know who Elvis was, of course. It was said that Dolores Hart was like Grace Kelly because of how beautiful she was. She had a lot of hits, and her Hollywood career was going very fast. But when things were going her way, not long ago, when she was only 25, Dolores Hart did something that shocked her friends and the general public. She talked about her bad experience with Hollywood and what she thought about it. In 1963, she quit Hollywood to become a Christian sister, which was a different job. But why did she quit Hollywood all of a sudden? How did she feel about living in Hollywood? Come with us as we learn about Dolores Hart. From a pretty actor to a religious sister. I'm not needed. You don't need me either. Dorothea Hicks was born in Chicago on October 20th, 1938. She was the only child of actor Bert Hicks and his wife Harriet. When her parents split up, she often lived with her religious Catholic grandparents who taught her a lot about faith. But she was also very interested in her father's world of theater. After the show, she would watch him from the wings. She was taking in the stage's rhythm and thinking of her own chance to shine. She got her start with small parts at Marymount College after high school. Hollywood producer Hal Wallace quickly noticed her beauty and natural ability. He changed her name to Dolores Hart and changed who she was. It looked like the start of a career that was meant to be. In 1957, she got her big break when she played opposite Elvis Presley in his first color movie, Loving You. Dolores played Susan Jessup, the good girl who sees his ability and helps him. Her rise seemed impossible to stop. Hollywood had found a new star who was bright and full of promise. But Dolores Hart's story was never just going to be about fame. As she was at the top of her game, a different calling was slowly taking over her. It would finally take her away from the glamour of the screen and onto a very different kind of stage. Dolores Hart's career took off after her big break with Elvis, with parts that showed off both her charm and her depth. She was in the 1957 movie Wild as the Wind with Anna Magnani and Anthony Quinn. Even though it was a small part, it showed that she could easily stand with Hollywood's best. The next year, in Lonely Hearts 1958, with Montgomery Clift and Robert Ryan, she did a more serious role. As a young, naive woman who gets involved in a bad relationship, she showed a vulnerability that made her skills seem more serious. A love comedy called Where the Boys Are came out in 1960 and became a huge hit with young people. Dolores played Merritt, a thoughtful college girl who was having affairs while looking for true love. The movie's success made her a star and gave a new generation a voice. But Frances of Assisi in 1961 changed her life in a quiet way. Dolores went into her part as St. Clair, who gave up wealth to follow St. Francis with a level of devotion that is rarely seen. It was in Rome that she met Pope John the Faith III, who told her, "You are Claire." The words hurt her very much. For Dolores, the part was no longer theater. It stirred up a spiritual call that didn't go away when the camera stopped rolling. Her later movies showed that she had grown up as an actor. In The Inspector, 1962, she played a Holocaust victim who was looking for safety in Palestine in a very moving way, capturing the torment and resilience of a person marked by disaster. It turned out to be one of her scariest parts. In 1963, she made her last movie appearance in Come Fly With Me, a comedy about flight attendants. Even though it had a happy tone, it was the quiet end of her time in Hollywood. In addition to her movies, she has also been on Broadway. In 1959, she was nominated for a Tony Award for her work with him. Everyone thought that Dolores Hart was living a wonderful life. She was beautiful, young, successful, and loved. She was a rising star who had everything at her feet, but she had a sadness that not many people could see behind her fame. It wasn't a bad performance or a scandal that caused her the most trouble. It was an aching emptiness that got worse as she went up. She used to think that Hollywood was like a machine. She was cleaned up, put together, and presented. Everything was taken care of for her. Things like what she wore, what she said, and even the guys people thought she would be seen with. Outsiders were amazed by her beauty, but she often felt like she wasn't living up to the role she had agreed to play. She was worn out from all the shooting, interviews, and fancy parties, and she longed for peace and quiet that the business could not provide. The contracts and cheers filled her pockets, but never her heart. She started to think about the things that were bothering her the most. Why is all of this happening? What is the real point of my life? She can't close the door she opened by playing St. Clair in Frances of Assisi. She felt something deep inside when she played a woman who gave up wealth and power for faith. A dream of happiness that couldn't be found in glory and attention. Dolores's tragedy wasn't that she failed, but that she lived a life that wasn't true to her heart. She was pulled between the busy sounds of Hollywood and the still, quiet call of faith. After Where the Boys Are became a hit, she felt too tired and empty inside to handle. A close friend told her to go to Bethlehem, Connecticut's Abbey of Regina Laudis, which is known for being quiet and peaceful. At first, she only saw it as a place to get away and rest before going back to work. As soon as Dolores walked into the convent, she felt a peace she had never felt before. She felt very moved by the stillness, the solemn rhythm of prayer, and the simple job of gardening and taking care of animals. Even though they had very little, the nuns gave off a happiness and peace that Hollywood lacks. She started coming back twice a year because she liked this quiet place so much. Each visit made her feel better. Still, every time she left, she felt very sad, like she was leaving her real home. As the call to something bigger got stronger, she tried to block it out at first. Even though Dolores felt a strong pull toward her spiritual calling, her daily life seemed like a dream. Don Robinson was a kind, successful architect who she met. He was the right partner because he was gentle and loyal. From the outside, they looked like the perfect couple. Beautiful, successful, and deeply in love. Their relationship was real and loving. It wasn't a Hollywood trick. It gave Dolores peace as she searched for meaning in her life. In 1963, Don asked her to marry him, and she happily said yes. Quickly, plans for their future came together. There was a house, a big wedding, and the promise of a happy, stable life. For Dolores, it looked like the emptiness inside her might finally be filled, that maybe getting married and having a family would bring her the peace she was looking for. With joy, she wore her engagement ring. She finished filming her last movie, Come Fly With Me, and got ready to start a new life. At first glance, everything looked like it was fine, but as the wedding day got near, the voice she had worked so hard to shut down got louder. The role of St. Clair, the trips to the monastery, and her deepest desires for solitude and prayer all came flooding back to her with such force that she could no longer avoid them. Even though she loved Don very much, she knew that God's love, which was stronger, was taking her heart. The fight tore her apart. Don was on one side. She loved him in the life of friendship, beauty, and security he gave her. On the other hand, the strict and risky path of faith and giving up was there. Dolores couldn't sleep at night because she was so upset about breaking Don's heart, of giving up a job she had worked so hard to build and all the trappings of a future that many people coveted. She finally chose to be honest. "I love you, but I feel like God is calling me," she told Don. She didn't go to end their love. "I have to deal with it. You need to help me if you love me." Don's answer was nothing less than amazing. He was so upset that he didn't beg. He also didn't get angry. He instead accepted her choice with quiet respect. He said in a soft voice, "I always knew. Every love has a secret, and I knew what ours was." Then, in a very kind and heartbreaking act, he drove her to the Abbey gates by himself. Dolores left everything behind at that moment. The beautiful dresses, the diamond ring, and the job that made her famous, and the man who loved her without limits. It was the ultimate sacrifice, a choice that was heavy with sadness, but bright with faith. It wasn't the end for Dolores. It was the only way she could find the peace her soul had always wanted. The whole world was shocked when they heard that Dolores Hart was leaving Hollywood for a nun. The beautiful actor who kissed Elvis Presley on screen, was in hit movies, and was hailed as the next Grace Kelly, was all of a sudden gone. The story was all over the front page of newspapers. Studios couldn't say anything, and fans claimed it had to be a publicity stunt. But it wasn't. It was like Dolores stepped out of the screen and into a world that no one could have dreamed for her. A monastery in Connecticut. Her new life at the Abbey of Regina Laudis was nothing like the one she had left behind. There were no more flashing lights, red carpets, or endless applause. Instead, there was quiet prayer and hard work. She got up early before dawn as a postulant and prayed with the community 8 times a day. She also learned to find meaning in simple jobs like gardening, milking cows, sewing, and taking care of animals. The woman who used to wear fancy dresses now wore a simple habit. Many people loved the star, but she was just one of many women, all equal in God's eyes.